Hello friends, welcome to Crusader Academy's online classes. Today's our subject is ancient history and the topic is sources of history. So let's start. As said earlier, our topic is the sources of history. Which are those sources from where we get the information about our ancient history? Whatever we are learning, is it correct or not? How we come to know about that? Okay, so let's check out which are the sources we refer while learning the ancient history. So basically, the sources are of two types. Sources of history are of only two types. One is literary sources, that is literature. Okay, and another one is the archaeological one, which we found after digging or excavation. Okay, so the literature is again divided into two category: Indian literature and foreign literature, that is written by foreign author. Okay, and this is written by Indian authors. Then archaeological survey, their archaeological are again the same. Whatever the excavation has been done, okay, under that. And second one are the coins and seals, and something we can say epigraphy, that is written on the wall or carved out on the bricks or walls or any metal plate. Okay, so these are said to be the sources. I have classified into five categories, that is Indian author, that is Indian literary sources, then archaeological, second one this is that. Okay, third one is inscription. Yes, you can point it here. I have said epigraphy, that is inscriptions. Fourth one is the coin and seal, this one. And the fifth one is foreign author, again this category. Okay, let's go further. So now, firstly we are going to check out the Indian literary sources. Which are those? Okay. So here are the literary sources, and that too from India. Okay, the Indian authors who has written something. So first is Upanishads and Vedantas. So you might be knowing that Vedas, okay, Vedas, though there are right now the books are there. So four Vedas actually, though the information which has been passed from this Vedas was of oral form, it was not written at that time. Okay, today we get some books in the market which says that it is Atharva Ved, Samved, Yajurved, but it is not that one, because those were given in the oral form. There, from there comes out 108 Upanishads and near about 6 Vedantas, which are said to be the end of Vedas. End, whatever the crux of Vedas are there, it is given in Vedantas. Okay, so these are the ancient literary sources. Then again, the second one, the next one is the Jain text, that is the Prashishta Pravana. Okay, Jain text, which gives us information about the situation, political information about that time of India. And the third one is the Buddhist text, that is Deepa Vansha, Mahavamsha, which is considered to be the epics of Sri Lanka. Those are Sri Lankan text. Okay, so Buddhist text, Deepa Vansha, Mahavamsha, they give us information about the situation in India. Okay, then another is Gargi Samhita. Okay, you might have heard about this Gargi Samhita. So it is related to astronomy and it gives us information about the ancient India. Then another text, that is Panini's and Patanjali. Okay, these rishis have written some grammar literature, of which Panini's Ashtadhyay. Okay, Ashtadhyay by Panini is said to be the major one. Okay, and along with the Patanjali. Kautilya's Arthashastra gives us the information about administration during Maurya ruler. Okay, Maurya rule. What? How was the administration? That is given by this uh, Arthashastras, Kautilya's Arthashastra, which we have today also in the market. And Manusmriti, it is Manu was the first sage or the first man, okay, who was uh, whose father was Brahma, and he has given some laws or rules for human being or the societies. Okay, that is Manusmriti. Then Vishakadatta's Mudra Rakshasa. This is another classic literature. So they give us information about the ancient period. Then the next most important source is Malvika of Kalidasa. It is basically the love story of Malvika and Agnimitra. Okay, so Malvika and Agnimitra, and he it was of the Shunga period. So this book gives us information of Shunga period. Okay, so how was the situation at that time? And then the next was Bana Bhatta's Harsha Charita. So Harsha Charita, Bana Bhatta, but it gives us information about the Gupta period. So how was the Gupta period? That is during 3 to 5th century AD. Okay. Then the next book is Bajapati Raja written. He has written the Gauda Bahu. So Bajapati Raja Gauda Bahu, that gives us information about the relation between Yashovarman of Vardhan Empire, okay, Yashovarman, and his enmity with Gaud king of Bengal. So that is given, that is narrated in this book. Then Bilhama's Vikramacharit. Now Vikramacharit of Bilhama, that is this Vikrama is the Vikrama sixth. Vikramaditya sixth. Vikramaditya sixth of Chalukya kingdom. Okay, of Chalukya kingdom, uh, and his story that during the South India stories, that Chalukya and other contemporary kings were there. What that was mentioned in the book called as Vikram Charita by Bilhana. Then Sandhyakar Nandi gives us information in the book about that is the name Ram Charitra. So which is related to the Bengal king Rampal. Okay, so that is related to Rampal, and this is related to Chalukya. So that is Pal dynasty of Bengal. Then Padmagupta's Nabashasak Charit is there, another classical work. Then Hemchandra's Dwasarya Kavya, that is another one. Okay. Then Nyaya Chandra's Amir Kavya, and Ballal's Bhoj Prabandha. So these are the books which gives us information about the ancient India. Now how the question will come? The question on this part will come like match the column, match the following. Okay, on one side author will be there, and other side books written by them, it will be there, or direct the books directly, who is the author of this book, or who has authored that book. In that way, three type of question. Another, it may come that which book give us information about Shunga period or Gupta period, or between these incidents, that enmity between Yashovarman and Gaud, or which book gives us the information about Vikramaditya 6 or Rampal, in that way. Okay, so the question may comes in this way. Then next information we get from the archaeological sources. Archaeological sources. So Sir William Jones has established Asiatic Society of Bengal on 1st Jan 1784. Okay. So he established the Asiatic Society of Bengal. Then Sir Alexander Cunningham, he is said to be the father of Indian archaeology. So he is said to be the father of Indian archaeology. His duration is 1831 to 1862. Okay, and then again from 1862 onwards, till 1885. So under his reign, maximum work and means archaeological survey of India was developed to a greater extent. Then uh, in 1862, oh sorry, here it is 1862. So in 1862, the ASI was formed, that is Archaeological Survey of India, which is still working. Then in 1901, John Marshall became the Director General of this ASI, and he has enlarged the archaeological service. So he enlarged the archaeological survey by appointing John Marshall. Okay, who sorry, not John Marshall became the Director General of ASI, and he was appointed by Lord Curzon. Okay, you might be knowing about this. His incident, he has done many things in India. Like, for example, you might be knowing about the partition of India, which was held during 1905. Then again, Surat split and other things, 1901, 1902. Many incidents happened that during his period. Okay, so he appointed John Marshall as Director General of ASI, and this under his reign, then Dayanam Sahani's discovery of India of interglacial period. That interglacial period that was of about 4 lakh BC to 2 lakh BC, that is said to be the interglacial period. He did the discovery of that interglacial period and what how India was during that period. That is said to be the biggest achievement. Also, other than this, you might be knowing about in the civilization. So, in the civilization, so those sites were excavated, started excavating under his time. Okay. Then in 1920, Rakhar Banerjee discovers seals at Mohenjo-daro, which is said to be the another achievement. Okay. Next is inscriptions. So the study of the information which is carved on the metal, stone, rock temple, their walls and bricks is said to be the epigraphy. Okay, so basically we get information by these things in three types. Number one, royal eology. Number two, royal documents, that is royal rescripts, the boundary marks of those states of that king, the deeds of that state king and other people there, and gifts which was received or given by that uh, royal family or the king. Then some private records which we found during this inscription in the on those inscription which was mentioned by some other people, not by the king. Okay, then those inscriptions were in the languages such as Prakrit, Pali, Sanskrit, Telugu, and Tamil, which is said to be the 2000 years old languages. Okay, and hence in our political polity it has been given as a status of classical language. The main criteria which has been kept for giving any language as classical language, that it should be at least 2000 years old. And coming to this Prakrit, I will like to tell you this Prakrit language has many scripts. Okay, it has many scripts. For example, you might be knowing about Brahmi script. Okay, which was followed in East India. Then Kharoshti script. Okay, Kharoshti script, which was followed in Northwest India. Then Unani script, that is in Kandahar or Shahjahanpuri, that is at Afghanistan. So Kandahar. Okay. Then next is Aramic script. Sorry, Aramic script in West India again, and the last one also Greek script. It is also in West India. Okay. So of this, the Brahmi script was deciphered by James Prinsep. He deciphered the information written in the Brahmi script. Then other than this, we found many inscription at Kharvela, that is in Kalinga, Kharvela king under which was ruling at the Kalinga, present day Orissa. Then Rudradaman Shaka, which was ruling at Gujarata, and Harisena, the poet of Allahabad. He is the poet, rest are the kings. Okay, these are kings. So he was ruling Kalinga, that is Orissa, and Rudradaman of Shaka dynasty. He was ruling over the Gujarat part, and poet Harisena. Then we get next information from the coins and seals. So the study us not study the collection of seals and coins, and also study collection and study of the seals and coins is said to be numismatic. The coins tells us the economic condition of the kingdom at that time, and which type of currency system was prevailing at that time, which were the industries at that time. For example, if the coins are of gold, so definitely the metallurgical art will tell that it has gold industry, or silver, or copper, or bronze, whichever it may be. So those industries were flourishing at that time. And also the marks on the coin, then the portrait of a king or queen or animals, those all gives us information about the political history of the coin also. Okay, for example, here you can see somewhat like Tipu Sultan's that portrait is there. Here it is swastik mentioned. Okay, here some the figurine of goddess, which god or goddess they were worshipping at that time. So that information we get from the coins and seals which are discovered recently. Okay, then some information we get from the foreign authors. Foreign authors such as Megasthenes, who wrote Indica, which gives us the information of Maurya range or Maurya administration other than Kautilya's Arthashastra. Okay, so he also Megasthenes Indica also gave us the information about the Maurya kingdom. Then the Ptolemy, who has written Geographica, though he has not visited India, but still it gives information about the second century India. Okay, this Ptolemy's book Geographica. Then another book is of Pliny's, that name is Nautraca's Historia. Okay, so it is related to history, it is related to geography, but still it tells us the trade between Rome and India during first century AD. So this information we get from the book of Pliny. Then unknown writer has written the book Periplus of Erythraean Sea. Now what is this Erythraean Sea? So let's consider this as somewhat the part of Africa. Okay, and this is India. So here there is Arabian Sea. Here there is Arabian Sea, and that is said to be the Erythraean Sea, sorry, Erythraean Sea. And Periplus means the coastline. This is the coastal area that is said to be the Periplus. Okay, so it gives us information about 80th century AD. Okay, so 80th AD, that period. Then came Fahen. So in the history books, state boards, it is generally given that Huan Sang is the first Chinese monk who visited India. It is not correct. The first Chinese who visited India was Fa Hien, and he kept the records of Buddhist countries. Okay, so Fa Hien, he record the Buddhist countries record, and he gave us information of the 5th century AD, that is of Gupta period. Okay, he gave us information of the Gupta period. Then came Huan Sang, second Chinese monk. He gave us information about the Western countries who were Buddhist. So he kept the Buddhist records of Western country. This is not the name of his books. It is the, in general terms, that he kept the Buddhist records of Western country. Though it was giving information, these books were giving information of the duration 5th to 7th century AD. Okay, he visited under the reign of Harsha of Vardhan Empire. Okay, after Gupta, at the same area there was Vardhan Empire. Okay, so he stayed at his at Vardhan Empire for a long period, and he mentioned all things in his books that he written at that time. Okay, and then the Singh, who gives us information about the India and Malaya. So India and Malaya, That information was gathered by this the Singh, and also the information of Shri Gupta period. Shri Gupta period, that is of 7th century. Okay, 7th century AD. So he gives us information, we get information about Shri Gupta period of 7th century AD and the position of India and Malaya from 5th to 7th AD also. Okay, from this the Singh. He also mentioned the period of 5th to 7th AD, but in different perspective. Then came the Hooghly, who write the book Life of Yuan Seng, and he narrate many incidents about the position and the condition the Yuan Seng saw in India. So friends, this was all about the sources of ancient history of India. Okay, uh, thanks for watching this video. If you like my video, please give like, put your comment in comment box. Your comment will motivate and will give me direction in which I should go, how I should improve my video. Okay, and also please share this information or the video with your people or the like friends, then relatives, then anyone who is studying in the neighborhood. Okay, so and please subscribe my channel Crusader D Guardian. Okay, thank you very much.